All right. Hi, everybody. I just finished grading quiz number 5, and this was a tough quiz. Not everybody, some people did really well, but in general, you seem to struggle with this one a little bit more. It was a tough quiz, so I thought I would go through it question by question. So, starting with question 1, and one of the things is the quiz sort of builds on itself. So if you get the first question right, you tended to do better on the quiz overall, just because having a good understanding of what's going on in the structure of this argument allows you to answer questions 3 and 4 a little bit more effectively. So what I noticed is that if you miss question 1, you had a lot higher likelihood of missing questions 3 and 4. Okay, so how many statements in the following excerpt from Elizabeth Cady Stanton's The Solitude of Self? Okay, so this is the excerpt. The strongest reason why we ask for woman a voice in the government under which she lives, in the religion she is asked to believe, equality in social life where she is the chief factor, a place in the trades and professions where she may earn her bread, is because of her birthright to self-sovereignty. So doing a kind of a standardization here, or even just a quick scan, is going to be helpful. So in a scan, you're going to just go through, and this, by the way, is all in chapter 4, right? So if you go to chapter 4, you can learn how to scan, you can learn how to standardize, and you can learn how to diagram. So when you're scanning, and this is on page 70 and 71, you're breaking down the argument into statements and indicator cues. Okay, so the first question asks you how many statements. So it sort of implies that you're going to do the scan. So since we're looking for statements in a scan, let's start with that. A statement is going to be any sentence or part of a sentence that represents part of the basic structure of an argument. So basically anything that's either evidence or claim and reasons. So the strongest reason why we ask for a woman a voice in the government under which she lives, we have the strongest reason why we're going to put that aside. That's an indicator, right? It's giving some qualification to what comes next. But the claim is we ask for woman a voice in the government under which she lives. So that's the first statement. So we're going to put an A. I would mark an A. Can I do that with? I'm using Camtasia. Let's see. Add a marker. No, I don't think I can do that. So let's pretend I can, and I'm going to mark an A right here. So A, we ask for woman a voice in the government under which she lives. Okay? Then in the religion she is asked to believe, I'm going to put a B there, and that's another claim, right? Because it's a continuation of this. We ask for a woman a voice in the government under which she lives. We also ask for a woman a voice in the religion she is asked to believe. So that's B, and that's also a claim. This is also the ask. Another way of saying this, women should, right? It's a policy argument. Women should have a voice in the government under which she lives. Woman should have a voice in the religion she is asked to believe. If we were going to go through and further standardize this, we could see some of this, but scanning is enough for this now. Women should have equality in social life where she is the chief factor. and women, so that's going to be C. And women should have a place in the trades and professions where she may earn her bread. That's going to be D. Okay, so we have A, B, C, and D. Those are all claims, and they're all supported by the same reason. And the indicator Q here is also very important. Is because of. So as soon as we see the word because, we know there's a reason, right? We're going to look because of. That's the reason that's being provided. So we have we ask for a woman a voice in government under which she lives. B, in the religion she is asked to believe. C, equality in social life where she is the chief factor. And D, a place in the trades and professions where she may earn her bread. Those are all claims, and they're all being supported by the same reason, E, because of her birthright to self-sovereignty. Right? Her birthright to self-sovereignty is the reason. So that's E. So if we have A, B, C, D, and E, that's 5. So you can see here that's the correct answer for question 1. I went into it with much more detail than is necessary just to answer that question, because as I said, if you have a good understanding of this one, you'll have a good understanding of questions 3 and 4. Question 2, most people did well on. I think almost everybody got this one right. Indicator phrase, or Q, is because of, and it's a key one, right? It's a key one because that lets us know that this is the reason, the sole reason. So because this is a atypical kind of argument, we don't usually have a whole bunch of claims supported by one reason. Usually it's more common to see one claim supported by a bunch of reasons or a bunch of evidence. Here we have kind of the opposite. And so when you diagram, so question 3 asks you to diagram that same excerpt. So we've already scanned it in question 1, and now we're going to diagram. When you diagram it, you get rid of all the words, right? And you just have everything represented, the statements represented by letters, and I point that out in the question. But and so you're going to put reasons above the claims they support, and then you're going to draw arrows from the reasons to the claims they support. This is why it gets tricky. If you saw A as the claim, which it is, and then all these as reasons, sorry, this is the other way around, right? This would be A is the reason, and all these are claims, right? This is the evidence, all these are claims. That's not what's going on here, right? So a lot of you did put 1 and that got tripped up, and I think that's because you were thinking maybe claim goes above reasons, right? But we're actually putting reasons above claims when we diagram, and then we're drawing from arrows from reasons to the claims they support. So 1 wouldn't work because this suggests that A is the reason we ask for woman a voice in the government under which she lives. That's not the reason, right? And these are all the claims it supports. So 1 is out. This one flips it, right? So now we could say, oh, well, maybe now we have reasons above the claim it supports. But this is sort of a misreading, and some of you did put this, and I can definitely understand why you might have put that, right? If you saw A as the claim, and then you saw everything else as reasons, which is, since this is such a complex argument, even though it's short, you may see it that way. So if you saw A as the claim and all these as reasons, you might have been tempted to choose number 3. Number 4, I just kind of I don't even want to get into what's going on. I just threw that in there. So I don't think anybody picked 4, so I'm not going to focus on that one. The correct answer, of course, is 2. We have one reason, because of her birthright to self-sovereignty. That's the reason. That's supporting all of the claims in there. So we have one reason put above all 4 claims with arrows going from that one reason to that claim. So 2 is the correct answer. That was a tough one. That was a complex question, a complex argument. I think if you had a simpler argument, probably I think a lot more of you would have gotten it right. But since this was an unexpected type of argument, it was challenging. All right, and then question number 4, identify claim, evidence, warrant, and backing. Claim and evidence we already talked about, or I already talked about a whole bunch in this video, so I'm not going to go over those again. Warrant and backing. Here, a few of you got tripped up by a couple of things. One is the assumption that the warrant and the backing are actually explicitly stated in the excerpt, and that is not the case. And I pointed that out in an announcement, I think. Actually, that reminds me. Another thing I said in the announcement is that question 3 was marked wrong in the in Canvas. That is not true. Question 3 is marked correctly in Canvas. I got an email from a student, and I had so many incorrect answers. It seems like every quiz had at least one. That when I got that email from a student, I just quickly, I didn't look closely enough at the question and thought, oh man, I made another mistake. But that's not the case. It was actually correct in Canvas. So I apologize for the confusion. Okay. Now coming down here, claim, evidence we went over. Warrant and backing. Warrant may or may not be explicitly stated in the argument. Backing is almost never explicitly stated in an argument. The warrant is that logic, that belief that links claim and evidence. The way of thinking about it is, if I believe that evidence, that a particular bit of evidence supports that particular claim, what else do I need to believe about that, right? What values or what understandings am I coming at it with? And then backing is sort of that larger social consensus, the larger kind of human values or cultural values that are at work in that warrant. So if I have this claim, right, and I'm going to say it as one claim, we ask for woman a voice in the government under which she lives, in religion she is asked to believe, equality in social life, and a place in the trades and professions because of her birthright to self-sovereignty. So if I believe that a birthright to self-sovereignty is evidence to support all of these claims, then I must believe that there is something about self-sovereignty that entails participation in these spheres, right? So if any kind of attempt to link claim and evidence, if you put that for warrants, any sort of attempt to link that claim and evidence, I would have given you credit for, right? But my own view of it is, something along the lines of self-sovereignty implies the ability to participate in these different spheres. And then the backing is even trickier, I think, here. Anything along the lines of a larger social consensus that links, a birthright of self-sovereignty to this participation, any kind of attempt to maybe define that culturally, anything along those lines would be absolutely acceptable for this. All right, having said all that, because this was so challenging, this was by far the quiz that you struggled with the most so far, and it was particularly these 2 questions. I'm going to go through and I'm going to regrade both of these, and I'm going to give everybody full credit for those 2 questions. So if you didn't get those questions right, hopefully now you would get those questions right if you were to do it again. Having seen this video and having seen my responses, because I also responded to you all individually with any question you got wrong. So I'm going to go through and regrade, and I'm going to give everybody credit for those two, for question 3 and question 4, because I think it was a particularly challenging argument, and since we didn't have a chance to, go face to face and do this together, I'm going to give you all credit for that. All right, if you have any questions, thoughts, anything like that, feel free to email me. All right.